Define what buying signals are. How are they expressed? How should we respond when we suspect that a buying signal has been presented? Is it possible to make a sale without any buying signals from the prospect? Why? What are buying signals? Ways in which a prospect indicates or expresses interest in your product or service. An indirect way that a customer may communicate either I'm getting ready to make a decision or I think I'm ready to proceed. Why is recognizing buying signals important? It proves to a prospect that you are paying attention. Prospect expects you to notice. They help us focus on and understand what is important to the prospect. What risks are there if you miss or ignore buying signals? Missing a perfect opportunity to ask for the business. Talking yourself out of a sale. Insulting the prospect. Boring the prospect. Wasting precious time. Looking like a fool. Over-explaining ourselves. How are buying signals expressed? Verbally in either a subtle or assertive manner, using either questions or statements. I may be interested. I love the color. How or when could you deliver? I'll take one. This looks good or interesting. If I wanted to proceed, what's the next step? Asking if they can try out the product. What are my payment options? Asking many questions. Verbally, by objecting. Remember, objections are often just feedback. I'm not sure that I can afford this. I don't like this color. This seems complicated. I have some concerns or questions. Facial gestures, smiles of acceptance, looks of excitement, nodding and smiling. Eye contact, intense interest expressed through eye contact. Eyes have a twinkle or sparkle. Wide-eyed expression, asking to read the fine print. Physical gestures, thoughtful pause, thumbs up, taking measurements, closely examining the product, reaching out to touch, hold, or try out the product. Crosstalk between decision makers. I like it. What do you think? How will we pay for this? I think that we should go ahead. What do you think? What color, size, type, or quantity do you think we should get? Where's the checkbook? How do we get better at recognizing buying signals? Pay attention to your prospect's body language, facial gestures, and eye contact. Listen intently to everything that's being said. Pace yourself, your questioning, and presentation to a speed that's comfortable for the prospect. Ask trial closes or closing questions. Paying attention really does pay. How should we respond when we suspect that a buying signal has been presented? Notice it, don't just let it pass. Ask a question like, I sense that you are interested in this, or did you have a comment or question? Ask a closing or trial closing question. You can even have some fun and say, if you've heard enough, I'll shut my mouth now and write up the paperwork. This can help you ease the tension and add some humor to your meeting. Is it possible to make a sale without any buying signals from the prospect? Why? The answer is yes. Business people who are strong negotiators will keep their emotions level and seldom express anything. Also, when you are selling something that isn't for personal pleasure, buying signals can be limited. Ownership begins in the mind. Before customers take physical possession, they take mental possession. Simply put, you have their stuff and they have your money. Until you're able to get them to mentally accept what you're offering, the products will stay in your possession and the money will stay in their bank account. Let's review decision-making in action. Early in my sales career, I was introduced to a sales process. I learned the steps and I followed the steps, and this resulted in a better than average closing ratio in my sales interactions. I often heard other salespeople ask for more training and knowledge on the subject of closing. Not to brag, but I found closing so natural and easy that I couldn't understand why they wanted to spend so much time learning about closing. It wasn't until I started teaching others and delivering training for a living that I began to study what had originally been taught. Then I looked at the subject differently and worked backwards from the result. I came to a conclusion. Closing is difficult if you fail to follow a proven process. As a sales professional, one of your primary objectives is to guide your prospect through the decision-making process. Your goal is to make it easy and comfortable for people to say yes to your proposal. To prove my point, let's walk through the simple yet complex inner workings of the mind as an office employee makes a decision about something as simple as lunch. Our fictitious office employee hasn't brought lunch to work. Somewhere around 11:30 a.m., their stomach begins to rumble and sends a message to their brain that screams out, "Feed me." With this, we have an identified need. At this point, our subject begins to ask themselves some questions as they consider their options. Given the situation, what question would you ask yourself? One of the most common questions people will ask is, what do I feel like eating? After asking themselves this question, they will invariably come up with an answer, and in doing so, they will have made a decision. The decision regarding what to eat, i.e. pizza, hamburger, salad, sushi, a sandwich, etc., has been made. As our subject exits the office and heads towards their car, they ask themselves the next question, which might be, where do I want to go? As they drive out of the parking lot, they come to a conclusion on where to dine, and they make a decision. If there are different directional options available, then they will ask themselves another question like, which route should I take? They will have a preference, and once again, they will make a decision. As they approach the restaurant that they have chosen, they will ask themselves another question or possibly more than one question, such as, should I dine in or drive through? If they decide to dine in, then they will ask another question, where should I park? Although they may ask themselves these or even more questions before they even enter the restaurant, none of this will be apparent to anyone else. After all is said and done, they will have made another decision. Once they enter the restaurant, the host or hostess will seat our subject, and they may offer them seating options like a booth, a table, near a window, etc., and once again, they will be required to make a decision. When their server appears, they will order their meal, and they will be asked questions regarding potential options such as serving size, side options, what beverage they would like, and so on. They will have to make yet another decision, and one or two more decisions along the way. As they finish up their meal, their server will approach them with a few final questions before presenting them with the bill, like, did you save any room for dessert? Or, would you like a coffee? Depending on how they feel, they will respond and have made one or two more decisions. After the server has presented the check, there will be one last piece of business to take care of: what method of payment to use. They will think it over, and in a split second, they will make a decision. This will be the final decision. This is a simple and realistic example of decision-making in action. The office employee in this example was faced with making many decisions over something as simple as lunch. Here is the point. They were able to make these decisions at a pace that was comfortable for them on a subject that they are very familiar with. Each decision was a stepping stone towards the next decision and a final outcome or result that satisfied a need. An effective sales process is designed to walk a prospect through the decision-making process. It must be interactive and conversational. The prospect must be involved, engaged, and participating in the process. The dialogue cannot be one-sided. Options should be presented, discussed, and decisions need to be made as you work together to advance through the sales process. We make decisions every day, and individual personality styles and the complexity of the decision at hand will determine how long this requires, the sales cycle, and how complex or sophisticated the process is. It is imperative that you ask for commitment and gain acceptance on points of discussion throughout the interaction. This manner of presenting is in alignment with the way in which human beings process information and make decisions. When you follow a proven process, the final decision isn't overwhelming. It is just a final step that is simple and straightforward. Salespeople who do not follow a proven sales process and wait until the very end to ask for a big, huge, overwhelming decision struggle, and hopefully you understand why now. It is easier for a person to make several smaller or less significant decisions than it is for them to make one or two major decisions. Other than, would you like to buy this? There are many other things that your prospects and customers can decide upon. What are some decisions that you can help your customers make throughout the selling process in your business or industry in order to make the final decision more palatable and less significant? People hate making big decisions. Help them get comfortable by making a series of small decisions. Previously in this module, we reviewed assumptive selling. This can and should be practiced in small steps. Until proven otherwise, if we assume that a business transaction is taking place, all that's required of us is filling in the blanks. We need to determine the quantity, color, dimensions, model, version, etc. We know that they're buying from us, we just aren't certain of the specifics yet. What are some small decisions that you can help your prospects make during the sales interaction? Here are some examples. Are they comfortable working with you as a person? Have you addressed their concerns and made them feel comfortable about working with your company? Is the method, timing of your delivery acceptable? Are they okay with the way you package your product? Do they find the terms and conditions of your contractual agreement to be suitable? Is your timing right to be discussing this? Are they satisfied that you are able to meet their criteria for doing business? Each criteria may be a decision. Is the product selection or offerings, or are the product specifications acceptable? Are your pricing options in the right range? Is the quality of your product suitable for their needs? Does the business relationship or partnership seem like a solid fit for them? Do they approve of your service or support mechanisms? By helping your clients make a series of smaller choices, you make it much easier for them to say yes to the big questions. Learning Spotlight number 2. It's time to review what we've covered so far. Each question in the quiz has a 90-second time limit, and the quiz has a 15-minute time limit. You cannot pause the quiz once you begin. The quiz includes many types of questions, including true or false, drag and drop, multiple answers, etc. Read the questions carefully and make sure you understand what is being asked before submitting your response. Many of the questions or variations of them will be included in the final exam. You will be graded, and the passing grade for the quiz is 70%. You will have 3 chances to attain a passing grade. If you fail to attain a passing grade after 3 attempts, you will be locked out of the course. You will have an opportunity to review the quiz responses upon successful completion. If you wish to review the previous slides and sections, do so before advancing. Upon completion of the quiz, please click on the green Next button with the white arrow in order to advance to the next step in the learning path. This concludes step number 4 of the learning path. Please click on the green Next button with the white arrow in order to advance when you are ready to proceed.